There is a specific physical ritual we all rely on at the end of the day. We step inside, pull the heavy door shut, and turn the lock. In that split second, the loud, chaotic world is sealed off. We are inside. We are safe. Out there, danger is obvious. Take the American student locked out of his apartment in Berlin, who decided to sleep under a bridge, only to wake up and watch 5 men conducting a drug exchange that ended with a gun held to a man's head. Or the college sophomore who followed a Tinder date to an apartment in Oakland, only to hear the front door lock behind him as 3 men emerged from the shadows to blackmail him into distributing their product. In those situations, as terrifying as they are, your brain understands the geography. The threat is tied to a specific external location. If you run fast enough, if you put enough physical distance between you and the danger, you survive. But that geography can collapse. When the barrier between the threats of the outside world and the sanctuary of your home fractures, the rules of survival change. This is the anatomy of a breach. Fear takes on a different weight when danger systematically dismantles your closest, most intimate perimeters. The invasion begins at the property line. Picture a college student, home for the summer, sitting alone in her family's upscale house that backs directly onto a dark, private pond. She hears heavy splashing outside. Not ducks or geese, but the distinct, rhythmic sound of a person wading through the water. She steps onto the back deck to listen, and the splashing stops, replaced by a man humming out in the pitch black. When she grabs a knife and turns on the exterior floodlights, she finds a trail of wet, barefoot prints winding around the wood. She follows them to the edge, looks down, and sees him. Just a pair of eyes and a forehead peering back up over the lip of the deck from the dirt below. He was waiting. That exterior perimeter can close even tighter, pressing right up against the house itself. For a young woman in her first rental, the boundary dissolved through a glass storm door. Night after night, a stranger knocked, waited for her to approach the unlockable glass, and left post-it notes for her to find in the morning. They progressed from "Hello, beautiful" to "I like to watch you." At this stage, the property line has vanished. Windows and doors act as vantage points for a predator, rather than a shield for the owner. The threat eventually crosses the threshold and enters spaces we trust to be empty. Consider the foster teenager who ducked into a seemingly empty high school bathroom. She locked herself in a stall and heard the main entrance door open and shut, but no footsteps followed. When she walked out, her friend was staring at her in shock. The friend had peered under the gap in the stall and seen a second pair of shoes standing in total silence, pressed back to back against the girl's heels. That proximity can extend to the most vulnerable space imaginable, a child's bedroom. A 10-year-old boy started noticing his nightlight changing colors on its own. Then it would be found completely unclogged. Eventually, it vanished entirely. His parents rationalized the details, blaming puberty and an overactive imagination, while ignoring his complaints about faint, midnight rustling noises coming from inside his closet. After 4 straight nights of these sounds, his father snapped. To prove the room was empty, he marched in, cleared the closet, and tore down a large poster covering the back wall. Behind the poster was a massive hole. A subterranean tunnel ran from the dark tree line, under the dirt, straight through the foundation, and into the back of the child's closet. Once the physical walls are bypassed, the victim is exposed, unknowingly sharing a sanctuary with a stranger. The final stage of a spatial invasion is the zero-distance breach. The threat is sharing your immediate physical space, without you realizing it, until the final, inescapable moment. During a sweltering July night, a young woman fell deep asleep and had a vivid nightmare. A creature was standing over her bed, staring down. In the dream, it dragged a sharp claw across her thigh. She woke up in a pitch-black room to the loud drone of her window AC unit. The pain from the dream persisted, and when she ran to the bathroom, she found a real, bleeding gash across her leg. Her roommate joined her in the room, searching for a sharp object in the sheets, before telling the girl to stay quiet and switching off the AC unit. In the silence, they both heard the distinct sound of a living person shifting their weight directly underneath her bed. The intruder had spent days roaming the apartment, helping himself to their food and watching them sleep. That night, he reached up from the darkness to physically mark her. The realization remains: the locks on the door provide no protection when the threat is already inside.